now we are going to be doing whole numbers. The first one we're going to do is we're going to discuss the numbers a little bit, and then we're going to talk about division by 0 and division by 1. Okay. Let's first talk about numbers. What is a whole number? A whole number is any number starting at 0. It is a whole number, so it can't be a fraction. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to infinity. It is what I like to call a hold number. It's a thing that you can hold in your hand. So you could hold one apple. You could hold no apples. So it starts at 0, it goes all the way up, and it does not include fractions, and it does not include negative numbers. Then we have counting numbers. It's exactly the same as whole numbers, except it doesn't have a 0. So counting numbers start at 1 and go to 6. Counting numbers are also called natural numbers, and this is any number you can count with your hand. So think about counting with your fingers. You've got to start at 1. You can't start at 0. Then we've got integers. An integer is exactly the same as whole numbers, except now we go to the negative. An integer can't be a fraction. Again, it's an entire number. It's not a fraction of a number, and it includes 0, goes all the way up to infinity and all the way down, and it always has an increment of 1. Then we get positive integers. Positive integers are exactly the same as natural numbers, but we just call it positive integers. Then we get negative integers. It's -1 all the way down. Note that neither of these include a 0. And then we get non-negative integers, and that is from 0 all the way up to positive. So non-negative integers are exactly the same as our whole numbers, just called something different. Then we have fractions, and a fraction is a number that would not fit on these timelines, like a half, 5/7, 5/7, -4/3, 234/33. A fraction can be any number like this. We're not going to talk about decimal fractions and exponents in this section yet. Now let's talk about division by 0. Dividing by 0 is undefined, right? So we're going to go through a couple of examples, but you always must know that when you divide by 0, it is undefined. There is no answer to dividing by 0. You can write undefined in your book. Let's have a look at an example. What is 23 divided by 0? We're going to write undefined, because that's what it is, and we can actually write that in our answer book. Excuse the handwriting. What is 1/0? Undefined. You can write that in your book. What is 0/0? So 0 divided by 0 is something we call indeterminate. But you can also write undefined, it will be just as right. But indeterminate means we cannot actually figure out what this number is. There's no way for us to tell, but it is the same as undefined. So division is splitting into equal groups or sharing. Let's have a look at example 2. There are 6 pieces of cake, and 2 friends want to share them equally. So we know that 6 divided by 2, or out of the 6 pieces of cake, we're sharing it between 2 friends, and we know that that's going to give us 3 pieces of cake per friend. But now what if we wanted to take the 6 pieces of cake and share them between 0 friends? Well, that doesn't make sense at all. 6 divided by 0, we're going to get, of course, undefined. And you can write undefined, or does not exist, or impossible will give you the answer. But if you remember undefined, we can't figure it out. Let's look at division by 1. Again, I'm going to start off by telling you the rule. Division by 1 is always unchanged. Okay, so what I mean by that, 23 divided by 1 is equal to 23. It is unchanged. What is 1 divided by 1? That is equal to 1. It's a whole. What is 452 divided by 1? That's 452. It is unchanged. What is 23.5 divided by 1? That is 23.5. And that is the same as saying 23.5. Right? Divided by 1 would still equal 23.5. Okay, so division by 1 is splitting into one equal group. So let's look at an example. There are 6 pieces of cake, and one person wants to share it with himself. So 6 divided by 1 is 6. It's unchanged. He gets all the pieces of cake. Every whole number could be written as a fraction of 1. For example, 4 over 1 equals 4, which equals 4 over 1. It is exactly the same. Right, so now we've covered whole numbers, division by 0. Next we're going to go to add and subtract columns.